What is going on, everybody? Three Amigos podcast back here. Just Chris and Anthony with you guys today. Frankie is out, and we are talking about the new Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game. Just came out for early access, and I think it comes out officially probably when this episode is posted, which would be tomorrow, Friday. But we're here to talk about it. It's been a very divisive game, and I guess we'll just dive right in, Anthony. What has your initial impression been of everything surrounding this game?
It's kind of funny to talk about it. Um like all the stuff they did, all the BS. It should have released last year with all the other terrible games of last year, honestly. And I personally feel that this sucks for, DC fans, Batman fans, Kevin Conroy fans. Um it's insane that they got to this point and they let it get this bad. And I have a few things I want to talk about throughout this episode with some of the shady things they did because it's hilarious when you think about it.
Yeah, so I guess I mean there's a lot to talk about with this game. I guess we should say there will be spoilers because it's look, it's really hard to talk about this game without talking about spoilers. Although spoilers are in the name of the video game, so it's not a shocker what happens to the members of the Justice League, but it's maybe a little bit disappointing how it all happens. Um, I'm not going to play this game. I've seen enough gameplay, seen enough cutscenes, beginning, middle, end of the story, and everything in between. And just overall reaction to the gameplay, it looks really boring and dated. This looks like a game that was supposed to come out. I don't know, how old is Fortnite? Like this game was supposed to come out, 5, 6 years ago. It's I don't know when they started working on this game. There's no way this took 8 years. There's no way this is what they were doing for 8 years. It's sad to see, man. My initial reaction to just everything I've seen with this video game is like, just as a whole, this is everything wrong with the video game industry. This is just cookie cutter, looter shooter, live service, all the buzzwords, all the stuff that when people say like, "Oh, gaming is dying," like this is what gaming is dying looks like. Like this is what it actually looks like. Because there's tons of great games that come out all the time, but whether it was a full effort from Warner Brothers to turn this into a really just weird idea for a game when you have the Justice League in it. But this does not. I don't know who this was for. I really don't, because if you played the Arkham games and you enjoyed the gameplay and the story of those, I can't imagine this game being even remotely interesting to you. And if you didn't play the Arkham games, I can't understand why they would be making a game targeted at people who didn't like those games. Like I really don't know understand the audience. I'm not sure they understand the audience. Um there's just there's so much, man. Zoom cuts us off in 40 minutes. There's so much with with this game and just all the implications. I do want to ask a question. This is a live service. Uh, do you think within, say, 6 months, like what do you think happens to the player base here? Do you think that they actually maintain a decent sized player base? Doesn't have to be crazy. You're not going to do Fortnite numbers. You're not going to do Apex numbers, Warzone, stuff like that. But like, do you think they maintain a decent player base, or do you think this goes in the direction of Avengers, which they pretend that it's going well, and then they shut the game down and pull it off all the digital storefronts, and it dies.
I'd say in the Avengers direction, but worse and much quicker because number one, I don't think they're gonna have a lot of sales because it officially launches tomorrow on the 2nd of February. I don't think they're gonna
Yes.
have a lot of sales from that alone, and all the sales from the early access are from I want to assume generalize two main pools. One is the content creators who paid for the game to stop you from buying the game, and two, the idiots who didn't do enough research on the game to stay away from the game. And one of the things that I wanted to mention about that I mentioned earlier that I wanted to get into was no review codes for anybody. No IGN didn't get any GameSpot. Game Ranks. No one got review codes, and
No one.
we one of the things I've heard from YouTube, like the idea was they knew that the game was gonna fail, so they wanted people to spend money on the pre-orders and the early access before before they find out, oh, the game is actually bad and you wasted your money. But are they not aware that there's a lot of content creators that would make the content beforehand and all the leaks that came out? And apparently, there was an IGN like article that apparently pointed out that it was their hands-on preview that kind of shut them out from getting the review code from Rocksteady because their preview was very negative, and they're like, "Oh, if you think it's negative, we're not giving you the damn code." It's not their job to lie and say, "Oh, your game." Well, IGN may be lie. They might lie sometimes, but it's not a reviewer or a game journalist's job to lie for your product and say it's actually good. Go buy it. They were honest. They said they didn't like the product, and they said, "Okay, well, fuck you. You're not getting a code to review it. You got to buy it like everyone else." And that's really shitty. Um, that is kind of a point of like they knew it wasn't going to do as good, especially with the game being 10 hours long with side content and the live service. And people said it's boring, it gets buggy on the second half. It's cringy, the writing is bad, the plot is bad. Gameplay I heard is mixed. Gameplay's not the worst thing ever. I don't know where it ranks in terms of gameplay between Gotham Knights and Avengers, but I think it's gonna
Right.
flop very quickly and the servers will shut down very quickly. Even on the early access release window, the release day in New Zealand at least, the game immediately completed for you when you started the game, and they had to shut down the servers to try to fix that issue. That's
Right, which is
amazing.
that alone is crazy because you have to assume that means nobody play tested the game from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
As in like pop it in, press start. No one did that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is insane. I've never even heard of a glitch like that happening. And certainly not one that goes public. I imagine that happens during development all the time, but not when you launch the game. Someone whose video I watched made a good point. Was like, a lot of people are like bashing on Rocksteady, and they're like, "How is this, the same Rocksteady that gave us the Arkham games?" It's not.
Yeah, it's
It's not
not.
the same Rocksteady. The last Arkham game that we got came out 8 or 9 years
Mm-hmm.
ago.
About 9 year.
Like, there is little to no chance, especially when the guy who was the like founder of the company left. There's little to no chance that this is the same Rocksteady. 9 years between games, they must have had so much turnover. At least you have to think 3 to 4 years of them not doing anything,
Yeah.
because game development nowadays is like, unless you're Rockstar, like 5 years, 4 to 5 years. So if this
Mm-hmm.
was 8 years between games, 9 years between games, there were 3 years, 4 years where they weren't doing anything. I I, I have a really hard time believing that there was really anybody from the original Rocksteady team that was had an important role in the creation of this game. It just
Plus,
doesn't. It feels so soulless, and the gameplay just looks so boring. Like
and
some
when
in
your
a
captain
few.
jumps ships, you gotta jump ship too.
I mean, seeing this game, I get it. Like I totally get why he left. I totally get it. It's kind of like when we found out that like the co-founders of Rockstar hadn't been with the company for like 5 or 6 years. So I totally get it, man. Like it's not the same company. You're not making the same shit. And in one of the reviews, they mentioned there are only three enemy types in this game. And those are the
Mhm.
ones you fight for 95% of the game. In fact, the final boss of this game, which is supposed to be Brainiac, is a reskinned Flash battle where you are doing a combination of the Flash boss fight and just shooting the purple aliens.
And they said like, although all the boss fights are pretty shitty, the Flash is the worst one.
Wow, that's okay, because I watched the boss fights and they all look pretty awful.
Yeah.
But one of the other funny things is like the things that like the other games that this game is being compared to, these are not comparisons that you want. You do not want to be in the category of like so and so compares well to Gotham Knights. Oh, how does it compare to Avenger? Are you
Yeah.
serious? Like this is the bar? Avengers and Gotham Knights? That's the bar. Those two games are what this is. Like you don't want to be in that category. That is like dead on arrival. And dude, it's nuts that the Gotham Knights game had a better story. They killed off Batman in a better way. Like, dude, the in Gotham Knights, at least Batman goes out like a G both times. I I mean that cutscene at the end of Batman, um, it's awful. Superman dies in this game. Well, I guess all of the bosses, all the Justice League, somehow their weakness is just being shot a bunch.
Yeah.
That's all the gameplay. You shoot the Justice League until they die. The most unfortunate part of that is that there's a sequence of cutscenes of a fight between Superman and Wonder Woman, and that's awesome. That's just two superheroes going at it, beating the shit out of each other.
I gotta watch that.
And that's not part of the game.
Oh, it's not?
This game is just you shooting the Justice League until they die. And like, I don't know what happened towards the like end of the development of this game because the ending definitely seems rushed. But like Green Lantern has sort of a death scene, The Flash sort of a death scene, Wonder Woman gets a death scene, Batman gets a death scene. For some reason, Superman, no death scene. Nothing. Just shot out of the sky by bullets and he's dead. Superman.
And the game takes place in his city.
I,
And
I,
Brainiac is technically his villain.
dude, I mentioned this to you earlier, but like this whole time I was wondering like, okay, well, I'm not gonna watch the entire cutscene movie because it's like 4 hours long. But like there must be some cutscenes of like, prequel stuff like 6 months earlier, 1 year earlier, whatever, that shows like how did Brainiac just take over the Justice League?
Mhm.
And the only way you're gonna find that out is if you listen to the audio logs, which I have to give them credit, are fantastically voice acted. They sound incredible. But they really sound like they were going to be cutscenes that were never made, never animated. And
Mhm.
instead, they just stuck with the audio and they were like, this is fine. Someone will listen to this and that'll explain what happened. And I just like, how are we glossing over this? They're like actively glossing over how Brainiac just took over the Justice League. I, I
See,
mean,
like,
if you're like a fan of these characters, of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, whose powers they apparently just don't understand at all, or even I don't know, did a Google search. This takes a huge shit on those characters, and not in like a not in a funny way, not in like a whatever edgy like they're trying to do. It doesn't work. It falls flat every single time. Uh, and dude, it's so frustrating because people are gonna buy this game, they're gonna defend it, and the weirdest defense, well, there's two really weird defenses of people who say, well, what do you expect? It says kill the Justice League in the title. It's like, well, it also says Suicide Squad. None of them died. That's like a classic Suicide Squad thing. Someone always gets their head blown up
Hmm.
right off the bat because they don't think it's true. I don't know they couldn't have thrown in a fifth or sixth person here and just to kill him off. Rick Flag's in the game, sort of. He's not, part of the Suicide Squad this time. Whatever. Um, it just, I don't know.
I
It
gotta
sucks because, yeah,
I got a few
it's
points
just
I want to make
frustrating.
for you. So with the audio logs thing, um, you and I talked about it earlier, how we don't really like the audio logs thing. It's like a lazy way to tell lore or backstory.
Yeah,
Horizon Forbidden West did that, but the only reason why I give that one a pass is because it's audio telling you about the world before it was destroyed by the robots. So that, if they could put that in a cutscene, it'll take a lot longer than the game. I put 100 hours into that game. Not saying the game is 100 hours long, but it's a long game, so I can excuse it for that. But you have the voice acting for the Justice League. You can make the game longer than 10 hours with the cutscenes for that. So that's, shitty. Secondly, I understand the live service thing. You got to put like new characters throughout, individual whatever months or whatever. But to an extent, Brainiac is also, or Supergirl is also a major part of the Brainiac thing because he has her entire city captured in a jar. So where the fuck is Supergirl during all of this? Does she not exist in this universe? So that kind of bothers me. And then the third thing I wanted to point out, if I remember what it was exactly, because we were just talking about it. Damn, what was I gonna say? What was the last thing you mentioned?
um, a
Oh, I remember
combination
the
of,
squad.
yeah,
Deadshot. So remember in Arkham City, he was white.
yes.
I saw a video on YouTube and I gotta research to see how true it is, but supposedly the Deadshot in Arkham City was an imposter that was killed by the real Deadshot, which is the one in this game, and that's how they retconned that colors changed, from white guy to
Oh
black
my
guy.
God.
Supposedly. I don't know how true it is, but it wouldn't surprise me if it is true.
Because it's so stupid, because it's such a
Yeah.
stupid, oh my God. Yeah.
And so I was just like, bro, like that was so and then like I hear like, with traversal, I heard I heard Boomerang's traversal is mixed. Some people like it, some people hate it. I heard Harley Quinn has really bad traversal with the grapple swing thing. I hear King Shark has a like the best one, I guess. To me it didn't look that great. But apparently people like King Shark's traversal. But um I want to talk about King Shark real quickly because you told me about something that I didn't know happened until I watched the video.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll just spoil it. He uses
Yeah.
Green Lantern's ring.
Yeah. And then
Um,
after he used it successfully, it starts to backfire and he kind of like freaks out and doesn't know how to like control it.
yeah, and then the ring, instead of flying off his hand, it just falls off and flops into the water.
Yeah.
So, I really hate to be the guy, who like is like, well, actually, here's how it's supposed to work. But this is like basic, this is really basic level stuff. This is like you put a character into the game, you gave him his powers, and then you immediately just had no idea how the power source works,
And
which
the
is
fact that he knew
so
the chant,
crazy.
how did he know the chant?
I was like, what the and he got it wrong. He got it wrong. He said the word shark. I'm like, why would it even work? He didn't say the full.
And you know what's funny? This is a game that's based on the superheroes that got some things wrong. And Big Bang Theory is a show about nerds that got pretty much everything right because they did their research, whereas Rocksteady clearly did not do their research on how things work.
Yeah, when Green Lantern dies, the ring flies off immediately to go find a new host. That's how it works. It's how it's always worked. Even even Zack Snyder in his fucking 8 hour long Justice League movie
Mm-hmm.
put that scene in where one of the
Mm-hmm.
Green Lantern Corps dies.
Yep.
Immediately, ring flies off, goes find somebody else.
Did you see?
I
I don't know if
mean,
it was like a joke or not, but when John Stewart was dead, he's wearing like green boxers.
uh, sure.
Because I don't know if that's like a joke they put in or it's just like, oh, he's Green Lantern, so he has green boxers. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was just like, really, you gotta like,
Dude, it really so much of this game really feels like they're aiming for like stuff that 14, 15-year-olds would find hilarious. And like I again, it's like those are not people who played the Arkham games.
hmm
So I just it's really bizarre whenever a company actively decides to alienate their fan base. And because you would think, like, wouldn't you want those people to be interested in the game? Wouldn't you want the Arkham fans to be interested in the game? I mean, the Arkham games, Rocksteady, the Rocksteady that made those games, changed the course of history for superhero games.
hmm
Like, before that, we had Spider-Man 2, and like that was it. Like, superhero games were a fucking joke. They were these like shitty movie tie-ins that like had to come out whenever the movie came out. And like maybe once every 10 years you got a decent one. Spider-Man 2, the Wolverine video game. But most of the time they were awful. They were a fucking joke every single time. And then the Arkham games came out and it was like, "Oh shit, these are awesome." Like and they literally created a combat system that so many other games have tried to copy because of how revolutionary and satisfying it was. And for some reason, they abandoned all that to make a third person live service looter shooter RPG grindy soulless looking game that I just even if you're enjoying the game right now, say you're some diehard person, bought the game for $100 early access, you've been playing it for 3 or 4 days. I just don't see how you don't get bored of this gameplay loop within a month. I mean, in terms of live service, there's content drops once every 3 months. Once every 3 months. That's not a live service. Like having dailies doesn't like make you a live service. It's just man, it sucks that this is Kevin Conroy's like last role. This was it. I don't want to get on them too much for that because they didn't know that when they were making the game. It's like part of me feels like that's not really a fair thing for people to be like, this is insulting to his legacy. It's like, all right, well, when they were making the game, they didn't know that he was gonna pass away.
yeah, that's true.
But so it doesn't always work out perfectly. We would have all loved for his final voice role to be some DC animated movie or cartoon or whatever, but doesn't always work out that way.
I was like,
Unfortunate circumstances. Uh, we lost him much sooner than we should have.
and there's one thing that like I don't know if it's still in the game. I don't know if they kept it or not, but that I think it's kind of cool, but still doesn't really save the game from being bad. Is that when you play with online people, whether it's your friends or not, and someone uses a specific build for a character, and then you play solo from there, you can have your AI character. Let's say you have the game, you're playing a specific Harley Quinn build, and then we play online, and then I play solo. I can have my AI Harley Quinn play in the same build that you created going
Yeah, I
forward.
heard about that.
So
Very cool.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
But that's like putting a cherry on a plate of vegetables, like or like a shit ice cream, like it
Yeah.
um
Also, in that scenario, we would both have to have bought the game, which is literally never going to happen.
yeah.
It's,
And
you
another
know,
thing,
it's
the early access thing, because Young
yeah,
Ye made this note. Early access is not early access. You're paying to play the game when it was supposed to release,
right.
and then those who pay the normal price get it after it's supposed to release.
Dude, early access is like one of the most, it should be against the law because it's
Yeah,
just a scam.
yeah,
It's not a benefit. Like it's not an actual, you know how some games you pre-order and they give you a t-shirt or a steel book or, a statue or something. Getting to play the game 3 days early, that's not that's not a benefit. Also, 3 days early, it's so a Tuesday when you have to fucking work.
yeah.
Like, wouldn't 3 days early be like you get it on Friday and then for everyone else they get it on Monday? Like, What logic is this? You get in the middle of the week? That doesn't make any sense. I did want to say on the note of Batman, because obviously could not have predicted uh, how we were going to lose Kevin Conroy. That does not change the fact that they absolutely made Arkham Batman look like a bitch. Arkham Batman, the guy who fucking soloed like every single villain in his own universe, all of them, including Steroid Joker. He beats the Scarecrow. Like, he beats
In one
everybody.
night too.
He beats all of them. And he gets bitched out by four people that he's probably already kicked the shit out of a bunch of times. Like, I just I'm watching that cutscene and I'm like, this is Arkham Batman. This is Arkham Batman. This is the guy from the last four games. There's no way.
Also, she pretty much
There's
shot him
no
in the head,
way.
right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't his whole suit be bulletproof?
People have mentioned like why doesn't he have a bulletproof cowl? But I don't know because they make mention in one of the Dark Knight movies about how he has to choose between armor versus flexibility. So
Right, but that's like human versus an animated thing. They could do whatever the hell they want. They got a guy flying throughout this, they're on the sky and a guy with a power ring. He could have a flexible armored, suit in the game. Um
I mean, yeah, John
but
Wick literally has bulletproof tuxedos. So
yeah, like his tie's probably bulletproof too.
yeah, the technology could be
Yeah.
there. If anyone's gonna figure it out, it's probably be
Yeah.
Batman. But
Multi-billionaire, like yeah.
yeah. But again, you have to remember in this game, Batman's a total bitch.
Yeah.
So this is not the same Batman. I mean, according to them, it is, which is another one of my complaints. Why the fuck did they say this was in the Arkham universe? Why would you say that? They never, ever had to say that. I, I'll never understand. I will never understand who. There's no way that was Rocksteady's idea.
You know what I forgot
There's no way.
about? The poison ivy thing.
Yeah.
I forgot. So she basically, because she died in Arkham Knight,
Yes.
and she comes back as a reborn seedling or whatever.
Yeah. They
Um,
gave her the Groot treatment.
yeah, I don't know what her role is in the game, but I completely forgot about that. And it's it's fucking stupid. It's a poor excuse to be like, it's still in the Arkham universe. Look, Poison Ivy's here. Look, Harley Quinn is here. You get to play as her, and Penguin's in the game, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess Gizmo from Teen Titans is in there. I guess that's
Yeah.
cool, but who really cares about Gizmo? The one who plays Amanda Waller, she's the Jedi from the Star Wars Fallen Order
Yeah.
games. But I just think the whole Poison everything, just the idea of it was stupid. And mind you, this is a game this is a company that had boss fights that were kick ass. Like Mr. Freeze in Arkham City was a kick ass boss fight.
Iconic. That is an
It
iconic
won an
boss fight.
award for Game Informer
Right,
for
like
like
that
best
that
boss
Mr.
fight.
Freeze boss fight was legendary.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is like it feels like it further confirms like there's no way anybody that was part of Arkham City worked on this game. There's no way. Like we're talking about a company like you said that has crafted some of the best boss fights in action game history. There's no way they were part of the team. There's just
Yeah.
no chance because every fucking boss fight in this game ends the same way. You shoot them a bunch and then they just die. That's it. And some of these deaths don't even make sense. I cannot for the life of me understand why they would kill the Flash after he literally saved Harley Quinn from being shot in the head by Batman like 5 minutes into the game.
That's how quickly he dies.
No, he saves her really early on.
Oh, gotcha.
Also worth noting, in that sequence, Batman literally kicks the shit out of all four members of the Suicide Squad by himself. But for some reason, uh, a few hours later, with the help of the fear toxin, they beat the shit out of him. So
Yeah.
again, cannot begin to understand why or how. Also, during that boss fight, apparently Harley Quinn has some sort of understanding of the fear toxin.
Yeah, I did see that. Like, oh, help me mix this thing and
When the
um
fuck did she and Scarecrow ever like share notes?
yeah,
When did that
because
have? Is that in the audio logs?
if she was gonna do something behind Joker's back, it wouldn't be with Scarecrow. It
dude.
would be with Poison Ivy. It wouldn't be with Skyrim.
Yeah, which I think is in one of the audio logs. But again, look, you can't put like 50% of the game's story behind audio logs. That's so fucking lazy, which I guess is just like the ultimate point for this game, whether or not you like it. If you like the game, great. Like have fun. But it's lazy game design. Like all across the board, it's lazy game design. It's semi-arbitrary numbers that get added on to your new gear, new armor, new weapons. You level up, you kill more things, you level up again. I mean, yeah, and then, you go to the cosmetic store and you spend $16 on a single outfit. Which, I gotta say, also kind of bullshit because I know these companies, this is such a cop out when they're like, oh no, but it's only cosmetics. I'm like, yeah, well, a live service game, that's one of the things that you want is to like put on a sick new outfit if you're gonna go online. Locking the cosmetics behind these like, I think overpriced uh amount of money for a new
That's
costume.
right. Costumes were overpriced. Emotes cost money.
Dude, like
Emotes were like $8, I think. Costumes like 15.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, WB did this with Mortal Kombat. I know that that part's not Rocksteady's idea. Um,
Might as well be.
yeah, well, but Warner Brothers came out and said, like they want live service stuff. So for anybody that was a fan of Hogwarts Legacy, don't expect a part two. The next one will definitely be a live service game. Because Warner Brothers basically came out and said like, yeah, we're not doing any more of these like non-live service things.
And
So
I think Square Enix is also doing either something they want to do something with live service, or they're trying to do all AI generated stuff and not hire staff.
I could see
So
that.
this whole I don't know, man. Is the
But see,
future?
that's what I'm saying, man. This is the shit this is the real problem in the gaming industry. It's when games like this come out, they're getting dragged, rightfully so, but the people that defend this game and they're like, well, it's not actually that bad. It's not as bad as this other game that fucking sucked that's you can't buy online anymore. Like, this is not the game to defend. If you enjoy like playing it, that's one thing. But please do not start defending games like this because all that's going to do is ensure we get more of them. And like, what genre of games dies faster, has a larger graveyard than live service games that just come out, no one gives a shit. They play them for a couple weeks, then the game dies. It just dude, Fortnite came out, and ever since then, every single company in the world thinks that they have the next Fortnite on their hands.
Yeah.
And I just,
I'll even say for the price, try Gotham Knights because it's on Plus, it's on Game Pass, and you can get it for cheap. It's not a great game, but it has one of the best Gothams I've seen. It does have, loot, but you do get nice costumes and you get, the DC, superhero thing. That I think is better than the Suicide Squad shit. But yeah, everyone wants to make the next Fortnite, and if, even Fortnite, recently had its issues here and there, but Fortnite's still dominating. No one's gonna make the next Fortnite, but um, I don't know. It's when it comes, you want to play a good superhero game, and you have, if you can't play Spider-Man and you can't play, um, let's say you're done with the old Arkham games, you want something new. I guess Gotham Knights is okay to try for cheap or Game Pass it or whatever.
if you want
Um,
like a Batman fix sort
yeah,
of thing.
they got a really great photo mode. I'm a photo mode sucker. Um, it there's other things we can talk about that later, but other than that, there's really nothing else to think. I mean, there's a lot more that can be said about Suicide Squad, but it's we'd be here forever.
I will say also, like, this is a little bit tougher to pull off with Suicide Squad because they don't really technically have a leader. Guess you could argue that Harley Quinn because she's probably the most well known.
Hmm.
But man, that Guardians of the Galaxy game really opened my eyes to the fact that you don't need to have control or you don't need to make all your teammates playable.
Hmm.
This game, I think, probably could have been way more interesting if it was Suicide, if it was Guardians of the Galaxy, but with the Suicide Squad, and you're giving orders to, lower tier characters like Captain Boomerang and King Shark as Harley Quinn. But it was never going to be that because they wanted it to be a live service game. And every time I see this game, it looks like it should be free to play. It's crazy to me that this game costs money. The story mode feels like it was thrown in just to get you to the quote unquote end game in which you go and fight more purple aliens. If that doesn't sound exactly like what the Avengers game was, where you just shoot robots for the whole time, um, I don't know what to tell you. You're not going to get much content. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull the plug on this shit a year from now. Um, and I also wouldn't be surprised if this is the last game Rocksteady ever makes, because it's going to be a shame, because they're a legendary developer, but this is not the same Rocksteady. Um, and it's a shame. It's a real shame what's happened to them.
I give it under 6 months before it shuts down.
Yeah, this is
Under six
absolutely
months.
going to be $20 to $30 Black Friday bargain bin. Honestly, maybe 4th of July it'll be $30. I would not be surprised. Mortal
Maybe next
Kombat's
week.
on sale like every week nowadays. So,
Maybe next week it'll go on
more,
sale.
yeah, well, WB has no issue slashing the price of their games after a couple of months. And Mortal Kombat, I'm certain, has sold better than this game's going to sell. So if that game's going on sale, then this one, I wouldn't be surprised if this gets the Ubisoft treatment where it's on sale like next month. Because it's going to crash and burn. And I got to end this by saying, I usually don't feel this way. I usually don't actively want a game to fail, but the quicker this game dies, the better. And for anybody that enjoys this game, don't worry. There will be some new random live service looter shooter that you'll get addicted to. You don't need this one to be the one that you survive on. And so hopefully this one dies very quickly so Warner Bros. Can learn a lesson and lose a shitload of money. All right. That's all we got. Thanks for listening.
See you guys on the next one.